Hello and welcome to Beautiful Literature with me, Chamatha. I am so glad that you're here. Thank you for watching. And as you know, we've been going through the Fathers of Nations, and now we are in chapter 7. We are in chapter 7, and if you're coming here for the first time and you haven't looked up the other videos, kindly go ahead and have a look at them. And while you're at it, kindly remember to subscribe and also share it with your friends and share it with other people who would be interested with this kind of information. So today we'll look at chapter 7, and we are looking at the Fathers of Nation and what happens. And previously in chapter 6, we talked about Comrade Melusi and the challenges that he went through in his country, Zimbabwe, and how that transformed his way of looking at things, how it affected him even politically, how it was affected as far as family is concerned, the challenges he had to go through because of the current government at that moment, and how the relationship was not good at all. So in chapter 7, we are talking about the arrangement that was in the hall and how the host president was taking priority on who to talk to first, who to welcome first, who to chat with first, and who follows, and so on. And because whoever he was talking to, it was because of the power they have, the influence they have, and all that. If you have a room full of people, and some of them are your seniors, some of them are important people, others are your peers. Not that your peers are not important, others are your juniors. You realize that even when you walk into a room and there's a moment for just a small chit chat and catching up, there is a way you will first of all talk. You not go talking to your peers, whereas you have your seniors, and you should first of all show some respect, sort of some recognition, some, to showing that you recognize that they are there and you appreciate that. Even if you really do not mean it, there is a way, because of who they are and the position they hold and the influence they have towards your life. You realize that when you walk into a room with many people, there is something that influences who you talk to, and who you talk to first and who comes last. Like your peers, you can talk to them last because you actually want a longer time with them. And with your seniors and your employer or something, you don't have so much to talk about. So really you can just go and finish up and then move on to the rest of the people who you're more comfortable with. And that is the situation where the president of Gambia finds himself in, where he will have to handle his guests in a certain way. When he gets into the summit, how does he address his guests? Who does he talk to first? Who does he greet first? And that is what we are looking in chapter 7, where we are talking, they're actually calling them the poles of influence. The poles of influence. And what pole is being pulled in whatever situation, and so in whatever person or whatever country. And so we begin with an engagement on the political hierarchy, that even as the host is recognizing and greeting the guests who are there, he will need to recognize that hierarchy. He'll need to recognize that food chain, that so and so is high on the top and needs to be recognized first. And now, looking at that, one of these poles of influence is pure power. Actually, we are told about the first one, that is on page 100, talking about one of these poles of influence is pure power, the ability of countries to impose their will on all those who oppose them, and so on. And so it is actually just power. All those, it's power game on who calls the shots, who does what, who decides what needs to be done, and they are listened to. So the first one, they are calling it the pole of influence, and that has been bestowed towards China. And they're saying that China, because of his large population of people, therefore they have large armies, and therefore they are able to call for so much influence that even if you want to play with anyone, you will not play with someone who has large armies, who has a large population. And so China has been recognized in this chapter as the population that has a pole of influence. Number 2, we have Nigeria, which actually has also been recognized. Why? Because Nigeria has a high population, and there's no president who would want to not recognize Nigerian president. A Nigerian president holds a lot of influence also, and as much as he's old, that is what we are told, that he's old, and a full general, he's actually now retired. the host needed to first of all make sure that he goes to the president of Nigeria and say hi to him and make sure that he recognizes that. And after he's done with the president of Nigeria, now he can move on to the next pole of influence, that is technology. And of course, the country that is acknowledged or is recognized for technology is America. And so they say the reason is not the size of its army, but the capacity of its technology. Likewise, in Africa, nobody picks on South Africa. So they're talking about the influence of technology, that if a country is able to be powerful and supersede every other country as far as technology is concerned, therefore, you get a certain recognition. So America is recognized for that. But here in Africa, South Africa is the one that is recognized for that. And of course, that's why you even have in this text, we are talking about the Voice of America, the agency where Fiona is employed. We also, if you look at Mr. Longway and being based in South Africa, and the AGDA and all that, and they're the ones who are pulling all that. So the issue of technology, they are able to level on that so much. And so another pole of influence that we find is a simple alliance with one or more of other poles. And this one has been given to Kenya, that Kenya cannot get bullied. If you want to bully Kenya, you should know that you're bullying someone who has many friends and many powerful friends. And so when they start coming down on you, so many of them will come on you. And therefore, we are told right from the day of it won independence, it very wisely became America's best ally in Black Africa. For that reason, no country bullies this chosen one. To try to do so is to risk intervention by its powerful friends. So therefore, as we talk about the poles of influence, they're looking at country and countries that have influence. And Kenya, not because it is very powerful, but because it has powerful friends. And I think as a Kenyan, that is not a problem. So, and the next one is the influence that is on South Africa. The influence that is on South Africa's head of state. Of course, we had mentioned about that. And then he goes ahead to make sure that he has said hi after Nigeria, goes to South Africa, then comes to Kenya, and make sure that at least he makes sure that he's able to have that have the Kenyan president feeling appreciated and feeling like they are together. And in fact, the Kenyan president also is extending an invitation. In their chit chat, the Kenyan president invites the president of Gambia to come and visit for a state visit. And in this point, the guests, the delegates, who are the observers, so to speak, who had been chosen to come and appear here. Of course, you can see how their reactions are. Like here we see Professor Kimani from Kenya. When he sees the president, the host, shaking hand with the Kenyan president, and then he remembers the things that he had to go through, including losing his daughter because of the poor roads and the poor infrastructure and all that. He doesn't feel good at all. He actually feels very bitter and feels like this leader should have been able to do better. Even if you're being recognized and looking like you have done something, as far as I'm concerned, you haven't done anything, because it is your failure as a leader that has caused my daughter to be dead, and so on. So if you look at that, therefore goes to the other pole of influence, that goes to Zimbabwe. And this one, their pole of influence is influence on sheer obstinacy, where they are just reckless and rude and arrogant, and he fights the enemies with everything that he's got. And this is where we are told about the Zimbabwe, they are known for standing on the podium and attacking everyone without even caring what will happen by the time he's finishing his speech and sitting down. And so you don't want to mess up with Zimbabwe in that front. Just like that, you don't want to mess up with Kenya because of her many friends. Zimbabwe, you don't want to fight because they are bullies. They will fight to the mud and be back and even look like they didn't do anything. And so the president, after he's done with Kenya, therefore now he goes therefore to say hi to the Zimbabwe president, and so on. So I am hoping that even as we look at this, what do you call them? The analysis that are being given from country to country, it influences how even their contribution is in the summit. We would want to see, and that's why even the author specifically picks these countries, because they are the very countries where our main observers are coming from. It's the countries where we have people who are able to show us exactly what's going on in that country. That's why we'll have Comrade Melusi coming from Zimbabwe, because it is a point of influence. That's why we have Professor Kimani that is coming in from Kenya, and so on. And so as we go on, therefore, you realize that there's a description in page 103 on the role of Zimbabwe in whatever is going on, and how the Zimbabwean president has found his way to deal with the issues that are going on in his country. And in this case, when Melusi sees his president being greeted by the host, that is the Gambian host, he feels very bad, and he actually knows, does this man know how this president, who looks like he's very good and looks like he has everything together, is a good leader, how he has killed my wife, he killed so many people are homeless, so many people have lost so much. Why? Because of this one person. And so Comrade Melusi does not feel very good at all, and he wishes that he would have an opportunity to avenge for all the things that have gone on to him. And I hope that maybe probably also prepares us for what happens in the summit. As we read on, we'll see what happens, how it transpires during the summit. So finally, we get to see that where everybody exercises their power with greed and rules, their simple refusal to abide to those rules is another pole of influence. Now, remember, we've talked about Zimbabwe, who they don't have rules at all. They are reckless, they are fighters, they are bullies, they will do anything. Now, there's another country, that is Libya, who they stick to the rules. I mean, they will do anything. They refuse to stick to the rules completely. They will not do anything as long as it's a rule. As long as it's just out of sheer disobedience, they will want to just challenge whatever it is that you want to say. And so the president is not for that. And of course, even as you carry on, you'll realize how Engineer Tahir, who is one of the characters we have not met yet, and we've not been able to analyze him, but I know we'll meet him. And he's not very happy when their president is being greeted. And you can see the responses of these people. And he's feeling, why would you be greeting him as if he's a very important person? This person is actually a coward. He's one person who have given in to the West. He listens to what the West wants. Whatever the West wants him to do is what he does. I don't even like him. I don't want anything to do with him because he's a coward. If he was strong enough to stand up, especially because of the nuclear weapons, because he's the one who decided to call it off. And now I am not able to even do anything. The country is not able to do anything. We are weak. We are very vulnerable. And this president now sings the song of the West. And Engineer Tahir is not amused about it. And he feels like their president has become a servant. He sits on the lap of the West and is dictated to everything. And that is on page 104, where the man used to snap at the West's heel like a terrier, but now he is a poodle, happiest when seated on the West's lap. Worst of all, the man has abolished Libya's nuclear weapons program. How could he have failed to see, marveled Engineer Tahir, that by so doing, he was throwing away the country's only insurance against future Western attacks and signing his own death warranty in the bargain. As far as Engineer Tahir is concerned, this whole thing of their president calling off the nuclear weapons, he's actually just messing up. He's signed a death warranty to everyone in his country, and he did not gain anything, because by the time when he abolished that program where Engineer Tahir was running, he feels like, what have you done to our country? You leave us defenseless. You leave us lost. Anybody can attack us from anywhere. And now he's left to just beg and be a servant or be a puppet of the West. And Engineer Tahir is not happy about it. He actually feels that this man has let us down. And so chapter 7 is important in the sense that it helps us to put into perspective as we talk about the fathers of nations, as we talk about the leaders, the political leaders of various countries, we are are being given these leaders and be able to see them for who they are, the things, the decisions they've made, the choices they've made, both at a personal level and also at a national level, at a global level. What decisions have they made? And therefore, as we talk about the fathers of nations, chapter 7 is very good to expose to us even the way the other nations look at each other. How does a nation regard the other one? So that even as we go into the summit, that is very, very important. This background information is very, very important. So as we go into later on, we'll be able to see the other characters that we haven't been able to see, and also be able to understand how their lives play into the main discussion about Way Omega and Path Alpha. So that is it for chapter 7. I want to hope that you have kept on following up. You have kept on getting helped from these episodes. I want to really hope that where you have a question or something you don't clarify, you will not hesitate to talk to me. You'll not hesitate to raise it in the comment section. I will definitely have a look at it. So thank you very much. See you in the next one in chapter 8 as we see what happens now with Pastor Chiamaka. We look forward to hearing from him. So thank you very much and see you next time.